think I'm connecting what I'm going to show you. It's crazy, honestly. I just figured it out too. Like I just connected everything. You guys are going to be shocked when I get into it. It's got to do with Epstein and him still being alive, and then some news that came out today that connects with a leak that happened after his death. And when I put this together, you guys are going to be like, "Holy shit." So, we'll get into that. Also, there's a couple leaks we're going to go over today. Let me give you guys the basis what we're going over. So there was a new UFO leak. Someone that said they worked for a program. I'll get into that. We'll read his leak, and then we can come up with our own decision. Do we think it's a LARP? Most of the time they are LARPs, but they are entertaining as hell because when they do LARP, a lot of times they are close to the truth. Um, we're gonna cover a little more Epstein. There's a couple things about Epstein. That's gonna be a fun. That's gonna be a fun little. Also, just because Hunter Biden, just because he went on that podcast and did a 5 hour episode with Sean Ryan, I have all access to everything that was on his iCloud, and I kind of just want to show you guys like how they can sit on camera and just portray like they're not as evil as they say they are. Because what's in that iCloud that you haven't seen or heard, honestly, is just freaking mind blowing. I'll probably have to pull that up at the end because I wasn't gonna add that in, but now since I'm telling you guys, I'm pretty sure you're gonna. That's something you want to hear because I don't even just wait, because there's some crazy ass lore behind that shit. What else are we going over? I'm seeing some reports of the next possible false flag, uh, Jared Kushner, blah blah blah. So yeah, I like talking about aliens. That's my type of thing. I could talk about it for days. It's just something about it because, and I've done a lot of digging, and a lot of people think that aliens are demons. I just don't know. I don't think that's what it is. I don't, because we're retrieving a lot of these, and the only way that I'm just scared it's they're time travelers. That's what I'm really scared of. I hope they're not time travelers. I want us to not be the only special thing in this universe. That's kind of creepy. Like if we're like the only miraculous lucky thing in the entire universe, which I know is that's not how it works. Everything is a game of numbers. Everything like it's impossible. There's like off numbers and percentage wise, it's physically impossible that we're the only intelligent life out there. But I do think a lot of these are time travelers, to be honest. I really do. But they're not all. And I love reading these new UFO leaks. New ones come out every once in a while. Now this is a solid one. I'm not going to just show you a not a LARP that isn't well put together. This is well put together if it is fake, but it's definitely a good read. Let's get into it. I'm going to read you guys everything he wrote, so just hold tight. And so yeah, let's get into it. Project Red Down. My name is Lars, not my real name. I am a software engineer specializing in air navigation systems. I am originally German. I have worked for both civil and military agencies. I worked for Boeing, and now I am an employee of a German government agency. Since 2001, I have been working as a researcher for the Red Dawn Project, which was dealing with the identification of unknown aerial phenomena in Brussels. The project was under control of the NATO Alpha Department. In 1996, NATO launched the Red Dawn program, whose task was to retrospectively analyze UFOs, UAPs, call it what you want, that were discovered in Europe and the Middle East. If I mention the countries that participated in this program, they were Germany, France, Sweden, Italy. That is the countries that knew the full scope of the research. Since 1996, 8 alien ships have been discovered in Europe. The places where they were discovered were Romania, Poland, Spain, Estonia, Czech Republic, England, and Finland. These alien objects were cigar-shaped except for one, and one was triangular in shape. Interestingly, the crew was detected only in one case, in a triangular object. According to the information I later received, the crew consisted of 2 beings who controlled this ship telepathically. Since there were no controls in the ship, these entities were placed in something that could be compared to a sarcophagus. As I mentioned, there was no wire in the entire ship, no mechanical parts, no power unit as we know on Earth. That is an engine. That's what we know. What powers pretty much anything that has propulsion. We have an engine. The sarcophagi, however you say that, sarcophagi, with the bodies were taken to Israel. And the alien ship was taken to a NATO base in Europe, which I will not reveal, but it is a base in southwestern Europe. For almost 4 years, we could not find a way to revive the ship. We tried electromagnetic fields, radioactivity. In 2003, an experiment based on telepathy. Damn, bro. How do I... telepathy. I think I'm saying that right, bro. See, I drink too much. I'm sorry. That's not an easy word, though. Let's keep going. Telepathy was conducted. I'm just going to say that word quietly. The person who was able to connect with the consciousness of this object was an American Indian from the Navajo tribe. The person who prepared people with high psychic abilities for the U.S. Army Project Dream, which served to connect with any mind of a human being. If I have to define this ship, it was technology of the machine and consciousness. With the consciousness on a biological basis, the object was still connected in the consciousness of the crew who was in Israel. My task was to clarify the flight characteristics of this object. For clarification, the object was not shot down. No earthly technology could do it. The crash occurred based on biological factors of the crew. It's interesting. That's the first part of what he wrote. There was one other part, but some interesting topics he was talking about in this was he's basically saying that the beings on the craft are controlling their craft with their consciousness. So it's not remote control. There's no steering wheel. They're standing, and wherever they look, see, you almost have perfect steering ability if it is connected to your consciousness. Because let's just pretend you're flying in an airplane and you're flying around a mountain. You're using your eyes to control where you're moving your hands to move around that. But if you're controlling it with your consciousness, you're skipping that and you're automatically able to move the craft exactly where you want. Now, that isn't for a weak-minded individual, because you might, like, what if there's, like, I guarantee there's people on the road right now that are driving cars that'll look at the tree and just be like, I'll drive into this tree right now. Just on some, like, in the back of your head shit. Like, I don't know. Especially if you're drunk. Like, that's something you'll think. And you can't, if you were thinking like that, controlling your vehicle with your conscious, I don't know, maybe it would be able to depict that you're just not being serious. Hard to say. But he was talking about how an American Indian from the Navajo tribe is the person who prepared certain U.S. soldiers to attempt to control this craft with psychic abilities. So it's kind of crazy how they think a lot of Indians back in the day used a certain part of their brain that we don't use. And I've read in multiple reports about there are some type of connection with the old Indians and them being able to manifest on different levels and being able to communicate. So it would kind of does make sense that they would be the ones that could kind of get your brain to interlock with that craft's conscious, because the craft obviously has to be a bit conscious, right? And that's like the movie they made with Jordan Peele. I forgot the name of the movie, but Jordan Peele made a movie, and the crafts basically where they weren't manned. There was no biological entity. The craft itself was alive and thought for itself. And I think that is pretty accurate, if you ask me. And that shows right here that, and in the movie, there just wasn't really anyone controlling it. So that's a bit different, but crazy. And also in this part, they were talking about how they sent the bodies were taken to Israel, and the ship was taken to a NATO base. Interesting. So is that where we're putting our biological finds from these crashed retrievals? Is Israel the hub for all the non-human biological species? Don't tell me they even got some crazy shit going on over there. They probably do, man. I can just imagine it right now. You walk into Tel Aviv. Yeah, it looks decent on top, but just all the money we've funneled to them. They probably got some underground city over there. You know it. You got to know they have an underground city. I mean, come on. Cuz their city doesn't look that good for all the money they're getting. Yeah, I know they take care of their people, but they got something underground, and the reason I know they got something underground is because they think they're gonna be the last humans left with the Samson project. It's crazy what's going on with this war. We're about to take Venezuela, and Israel's the only one that's not really like gonna get affected by this. They're just gonna rake in the profits. We're gonna destroy Iran. We're gonna enter a war with Iran. We're gonna beat Iran. Israel's gonna take Iran. And then after they become and take Iran, they're gonna get really big into oil. That's gonna be they're gonna become a powerhouse, the real Middle Eastern powerhouse. And then after that, they're smart. They already are putting their feet over in Africa. They're gonna take Africa. It's right below it, and they're gonna have a powerhouse. Trust me, it's all in their religion. That's all they're following. They're following their religion. It's all in their book. They want World War III. And I think the reason that they're letting a lot of stuff now go through and be talked about on these social media platforms, and they're letting guys like Nick Fuentes say a lot of things, like, but there's certain things, yeah, that he's not saying with Kirk and etc. But they're letting guys like Kirk and other creators, even Tucker, says a couple things about Israel that wouldn't be allowed to be said at all a couple years ago. And I think they're almost to a point where they kind of want people to turn on them. They want this World War III. They do. I give it 20 years. 20 years before they have Iran. There's a 20-year timeline. We'll be alive for it. If you're 70 years old watching me, maybe not. Maybe if we come out with something crazy within the next couple years, doubt it. They'll probably shelf it, but Yeah, they're gonna take that shit, bro. And then they want okay, yeah. What I was saying was because they want World War III because a nuclear war will happen, and that's when they think their Messiah will come back. They're literally just following their religion. Like you'll see the rabbis in New York with the underground tunnels, and there was pictures of the beds with blood on them. All they're trying to do is bring back their Messiah. They're taking people that have died and bringing them in the tunnels and trying to revive them and see if they'll come back. And none of them do. But that's how they think their Messiah has no choice and will come back is when we start World War III. It'll come save its people. And their Messiah is the Christians' Antichrist. So it's all this is all following religion and it's all powered by the bankers. We know who the bankers are. So yeah, they want nukes. They want to be the last Samson project happens. Nukes fly in the sky. Tel Aviv. I'm sure they got a whole underground. Boom, 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 boom. They'll blow themselves up. That's what it says in the Samson project. They don't care. They'll take everyone out with them, and they'll reset and they'll take over the whole world. But they really want their Messiah to come back. Um, I do want to read this. Let's read this second part. This is kind of good. It gets kind of good. So just hope no one's in a rush. Let's all just relax. Go light your blizzy. Go grab some tequila. Go grab your Michelob Ultra. What do I think? What do I think my viewers drink? What do my viewers drink? I'm gonna say my viewers drink. I think we're more of a straight rum and whiskey type of people. I think we go rum and coke. I think we go brown. I don't drink brown. I drink vodka. But I think most of my viewers are brown. I don't know. They drink brown for some reason. All right, let's read the second part. This is kind of interesting. This is a good read. These are always just so entertaining for me, even if they're not true, because I know they're trying to make something as true as possible. Like this probably is like maybe he heard this, maybe this was told to him, like, and he just wanted to LARP it like it was him, because no one would believe him if he said he heard this from someone that worked inside of it. So you never know, but here we go. These terrestrial UAPs are the original race of this planet, which was here millions of years before humans, and it is a race that has been waging wars with extraterrestrial races for thousands of years. If you see an object shaped like a cigarette with a shiny surface and a radiating blue aura, then it is them. You can observe them most in remote areas of Australia, South America, and Antarctica. The propulsion of these objects is based on electromagnetic fields that disrupt the time continuum. Yes, you have heard of it, and in the 1940s, we Germans, Die Glock, tried it, and yes, it was not our discovery, but the first attempt at reverse engineering. There's so much lore with Die Glock. Oh my gosh, that is something like that's just such a classic, like the Die motherfucking Glock. It was even in Call of Duty. Like that shit is crazy because I know they really reverse engineered that. It was shaped like a bell and everything. And they said that thing landed somewhere. I can't give you the exact information on it. Go look this up after I say it. But there is a story about how a Glock shaped craft landed in some farm field. I'm not exactly sure which country, but it landed in some farm field, and I think like the after 1970s and above, like could be the 80s, maybe even the 60s, but it was definitely like a couple decades after. And two Germans were supposedly were inside of it. Look, I don't know. I don't know, but go look up what I was just talking about. It's probably buried, but you can definitely find the report on it. It was posted in a newspaper of that city, and that's a great source. Having a newspaper like that's local. It's not really infiltrated too hard unless you're in a big city. Okay, anyways, I got distracted by the Daglock. You can't blame me. Can't blame me. Um, this object was found in the Black Forest in Germany in 1936. The question you want to ask is, why did the original race let the primitive race of man take over this planet? Well, not quite. This race evolved to live underground since the time when it hid in underground spaces from races that attacked it from space and were more advanced. This original race needed a race of slaves to work, and they gradually taught them many things. It gave them the first writing, language, and formed them to work, but they never stood up to their creators. Originally, the races of people were destroyed and remodified several times. We know this from the past as the Great Flood or the inexplicable destruction of the city in India, Harap, and Mohendaro in 12,000 years ago. In Europe, there are still active research centers for UAP research in Germany and Italy. These are the underground bases Alpha and Beta, which are located 8 kilometers below the Earth's surface. Scientists work for 24 months directly at the base and then can leave the base for 30 days. At the Alpha base, only technical data of objects such as propulsion, flight characteristics, and communication are obtained. At the Beta base, body parts are located and the biological properties of entities are studied. We have 7 types of entities. Entities on a biological basis remain in Europe. Several entities that have strong psychic abilities are transported to Israel and the USA. They try to connect human subjects who have the abilities of telepathy and telekinesis to these entities and establish contact. It must be said that several human subjects died during this experiment when analyzing the cause of death. Heart failure was found as if the extraterrestrial entity could kill a person with just its consciousness. He said this is just the first part, and I will post the second part soon. It's crazy because a lot of UFO, like a lot of different alien abductions and like stories about people that have worked at these bases that have held these certain biological species captive have talked about how when they are communicating with the alien they're interviewing, basically the alien doesn't talk out of its mouth, it's just communicating from its conscious to your conscious, like it'll just talk like it's inside of your head. So like I said, this is a good LARP right here. If it is fake, it's definitely a solid LARP, but I love reading these. But it was basically saying that these aliens live underground due to other races and other possible threats outside of our galaxy. It also probably has to do with weather and the Earth changing up, pole shifts, and all that. And he was talking about how they needed slaves. And there you go, ancient astronaut theory, right there. He said we've been genetically modified many times. They created our language. And I really don't know who created the English language. They can tell you what you want. Like I just don't know. It's too it's too like whoever made it is like the root of all evil because the way they make the way they spell these words, the way they set up the words, they subconsciously they subconsciously tell you a message or make fun of you with the words. Like good morning, you're saying good morning to someone, but if you take that word and there's someone mourning that's upset and you're telling them good morning, it's like, or when you tell someone bless you and you say be bless you, like it's just, it's true. It's true. But yeah, they're saying that Indian guy was the guy training them to go in there and try to talk to these guys. And it's crazy if that is true, that there's just these people that'll put it all on the line to try to go talk to these aliens and then they fuck around and kill you, and that's just it. But I'm pretty sure there probably would be a lot of people that would take that risk. I mean, who wouldn't want to try to communicate with the alien? If it kills you, it kills you, I guess. But there's shit. Hey, I don't know. I probably couldn't though. I don't know. Maybe I could, but not if they're killing them. Like, what are they killing? Like, what are the aliens getting smoked for? Like, what are they smoking the humans for? They must be asking them some crazy shit. All right, I need to start going. I'm kind of falling behind, but that was a great LARP right there. Whatever it was, that's a great read. That stuff gets me going. I want to go into this. There's another. Now, this isn't a LARP. The Bermuda Triangle leak, because I know everyone now saying there's a triangle. The news have just broke. Triangle is now they're now reporting there's a triangle over the Bermuda Triangle. Like, no shit, but like something inside of the water. And this right here is one of the most classic leaks of all time. No doubt. No doubt. This is one of those things that just get my I could go and read this. It's such a classic. So basically this guy was saying he worked for the government and he was dying from cancer and he wanted to leak about the project he was working on, and he was basically working on and studying what was going on within the Bermuda Triangle, and he did a massive Q&A. Let me pull up. Here we go. Let me go pee real quick before we get into this. This is such a classic. Anonymous posted, I have intimate knowledge of what the US currently knows about UFOs minus the last 2 years. UFOs are primarily unmanned drones. They are built to spec each time they are deployed, and they are created by a mobile construction facility that hides in the ocean. The construction facility destroys anything that comes close to it and will disappear for days when approached aggressively. The U.S. believes the facility has been on Earth at least 100 years or much longer. Fire away on questions. I'll answer what I can. You won't be disappointed. So I'm not going to read every question because this is a lot of questions, and he was answering almost everything. And the way he answered every question, I know for a fact this is not a LARP. This is not a LARP at all. Okay, this is not a LARP. I don't care. I'll stamp that. I'll put my face behind it. Like, if I'm wrong, yeah. If they can prove this is not fake, I'll quit this shit. So I'm gonna read the question, and then I'm gonna read his answer. So a person asked him, "Is there a working theory on the origins of this? If so, care to elaborate?" He says, "Quite a bit, but we think the construction facility has been around since at least 4000 BC. We see sightings, paintings from the early eras of history of this. Has any form of intelligible communication been established?" They asked him. He said, "Yes. It also depends on your viewpoint. They mostly want very little to do with us until we start to talk about war and nuclear options. It's one of the reasons why you see them so often at critical events." What allows them to fly so fast? What technology? gravity manipulation, and the materials they are constructed from. Is it related to one under rock? Is it related to that one under rock in that one Scandinavian country? Question mark. The one that deploys without tectonic spaces. He said no. This one almost never leaves the Bermuda Triangle. Do the UAPs return back to the manufacturing unit? Yes. Some come in and leave the planet, but very rarely. Usually, the same number that comes in goes out. Unless special circumstances arise, it feels more like a carrier, but with construction capability. So he's saying that they're basically building crafts in the ocean. They're building them up to an exact spec, and they might want them, and they'll build them to however they want that craft to go and do what it's supposed to do. So if it's just doing a flyover and scanning, that craft will be exactly tailored and suited for that. There's not just one specific blueprint that it makes every time. That's what he was saying in this. Someone asks, what are the purposes of the UAPs? Question mark. Surveillance of humans? Question mark. He says the U.S. believes that they are not here to harm us. They only seem interested in us once they realize we are destroying things around us, including each other. One of the officials in charge said something that stuck with me. They act like keepers of a zoo, uninterested in the daily life of wildlife until there's a problem. So it's just like Animal Planet. When someone is out there and they're watching lions go and attack a species that has no chance, you're going to let it play out. You're not going to interrupt its natural course. Because if you start interrupting its natural course, that can start messing with the process of their evolution. Even just small little saviors, anything. Evolution, but also mess with our timeline. And if they are from the future, I don't know if it would affect their timeline in their world or where they were born at. But if they were from Earth, and but they're not man though at the same time, I'm pretty sure they're conscious driven. If I had to guess, it's probably AI. I'm pretty sure he says it's AI in this too. But someone had to make that AI. All right, let's keep going. There's some good questions they asked him. This guy asked, "Can I approach that facility without it being attacked?" He said, "LOL, the last unit we saw approach the facility didn't even have time to communicate. They were being attacked before it was over." And I've heard of rumors even before this leak that there was a submarine that attempted to go down there and go test out and go see what this was about, and kaboom. Let's see. I just want to read you guys the juicy questions because there were a lot of people just wasting. I wish I would have seen this. I would have asked a fire question, but there are people asking terrible questions. Oh, here we go. Here's a good question. He asked, "Do you know if the entities behind the UFOs are native to the Earth, like an older civilization, breakaway civilization, or a civilization of humans that escaped a previous cycle of cataclysm due to their advanced tech?" Question mark. He said, "Limited expertise since my role is more craft analysis. U.S. believes they are foreign to our world. A previous cataclysm could make sense. They also show up in times of strife, such as natural events." And we've seen certain videos of, I don't know if they're, they might be fake, they might be real, but we've seen certain videos get leaked of UFOs hovering above volcanoes, other natural events. I'm sure if they want, I'm sure above tsunamis or anything that's a major catastrophe, I'm sure they want to go and take a record of it, just because that's not something that just happens every day. That happens within decades apart. So that's something that they probably would want to take research and do their analysis on if they are stationed on Earth. They do need to know what's going on with the upcoming catastrophes. That makes sense. Have you tried this person asks, this is kind of a stupider question, but have you tried sending in a raft of hippies? The AI might a bunch of weapons on it. It's gonna know. It's gonna be able to read what's ever on it. Come on, it's light years ahead of us if it is real. Usually it will just move away or stay deep underwater. It doesn't fire on civilian boats, for example. Exceptions apply. We have seen one or two go missing, usually after sharp turns. So he's saying like if there's a boat out there that is going super fast or just makes kind of like an alarming move that's just like not they're not comfortable with, that's when it's taking them out. They asked him if there's any relation to Antarctica. He had a long answer, but he's pretty much saying no, and that he had to ignore it based on what he's studying, and it's real broken down and compartmentalized. So he wasn't filled in on that. I know that might be something you were wondering. He said, "What units have been lost approaching this construction machine? What have they not sent a Seawolf to investigate? The Jimmy Carter with its nanotech." He said everything you can think of, really. At one point, nuclear missiles were being toyed with again, and we deployed fighters and a sub with serious intent. Everything except the sub was lost. So I don't know if he's saying that they just removed the missiles or the weapons and just made it attackless. But it's funny, like, we really, if that's true, like, think about it, we really had a guy in an office like, you know what? F this. Send something at it, man. I'm tired of this shit. They think they could just sit in the ocean and we can't go over it. Screw this. Send something at it. I guarantee I am 100% sold that there is NHI, non-human intelligence, in that Bermuda Triangle, though. So it's funny. Like, I'm sure they have sent something at it. Like, I'm positive. And there's a guy that had to make that decision. It's just funny to me. It's like you'd never imagine, and that guy could just be walking in. I'm sure that guy's walked in a Starbucks before and grabbed a hot mocha or a vanilla latte and got right out of there. You would have never known. Some random guy, and he's just sitting there knowing what he knows, and he's just looking at everyone like, you guys got no idea, and he just goes about his day. Let's see what else. How have they come to the conclusion the UAP being released are ET? If they don't know what the UAP are to begin with, or if there is nothing inside them, it is a pretty big jump to go right to ET. It's a good question. He says they crash sometimes. Parts fall, and gravity engines near the surface of the planet can be like crossing an intersection. We recover these and sometimes find passengers. We mostly see drones now. Back in the earlier days, we saw a lot more piloted craft. That right there is nuts to me. That's nuts to me. So they've advanced. They've seen what we've done. Once our tech has gotten to a certain point, they're like, screw this. we're not hopping in these we're not hopping in these things no more. Because if we do f around and it does malfunction, we're gonna get stuck inside a base. These crazy humans are gonna interrogate us. They're gonna try to get in our head and they're gonna ask every single question we don't know the answer to, all day, all night until we die. And I'm just gonna start knocking them off one by one with my conscious, like the first guy was saying when they bring them in, and just start knocking them out and just make their heart stop beating, and just like that. So it's like, screw that. Let's just send them up. We're droning them things. I don't blame them. But think about it. Say you go to another planet and you're in a craft. Like, say humans get to the point on Earth where we get crafts where we're able to travel to other civilizations that don't have the technology to leave their planet, and we're over there lurking in the sky, and you're driving one day and out of nowhere they come out with this new technology where they're able to shoot them down. Those first couple are going to be in trouble. And I think that's what happened with Roswell, because Roswell was manned. Roswell did have human remains, and I do believe that was the first time we figured out how to knock these things out the sky, because there were reports that they were getting knocked out the sky from lightning back in Mussolini's time. Some like to think that Mussolini had majority of the crafts back when he was the leader of Russia. There's a famous one you could look up. I think it was, I don't know what exact year, but he had one of them. He was aggressive. I know they were trying to, they were big on it. They were one of the first. I do know that. You could look it up. Not I don't know if necessarily the first. I know the Vatican probably has some. But I do remember there was a famous Mussolini one. Anyways, though, yeah, they were getting knocked by lightning, and they were able to dig up. I don't know. Don't quote me on it, but the one Mussolini found was dug up from and crashed thousands of years ago. That was the one Mussolini dug up. But it's crazy. So, like, right when we figured out the technology how to probably shoot lightning like technology at these crafts, they're like, screw that. We can't do that like that no more. We go to Earth, we're sending drones. So they had their fun at first. Now they got to come more prepared. Let's see. What else we got? What other questions we got? There's a lot. That's what I'm saying. I'm like really not even 10% through, bro. I don't know if I want to read this whole thing. You guys probably are getting bored. Okay, here we go. This is a good question. The contents and equipment usually mimic the intended purpose too, like the equipment share a pattern specific to its purpose, question mark. Yes, usually when we find a thinner model, for example, it would have no pilot and a lot of sensory hardware. My favorite is finding one that is fitted for research. If we are lucky, we find things we have never seen before. Before I left, we were looking at what we thought was a lab of some kind for genetics. That's sick, if that's true. Think about that, man. You're one of those guys that go out there and you get to see these crafts that got downed, and it's just, that's got to be the most craziest thing ever. He's saying there's pear-shaped ones. This dude wrote, I've had two orange orbs approach me to within 100 feet one night, glowing translucent, but rather dim like setting sun seen through smog. They were flying in 45-degree formation like this about 50 miles per hour. He said, research slash science vessels sometimes have mobile light producing cameras used for multiple purposes, from scouting to keep threats contained or at bay. These are shaped like hammers and when operated are extremely bright. Red lights are a sign of hostility or a caution to deploy weapons. Orange lights are usually for spotting minerals or living things. That's crazy. So if you see lights in the sky, if you see orange, he's saying they're basically using their camera and monitoring all the living things. Red is deploying threat, which makes sense. Are aliens human or humanoid? He says humanoid, very humanoid. What does that mean? Wait, what does that mean? I don't know. What else we got? Let's see. Let's see. It's a lot of bad questions. This is what I answered earlier. He said, "Do you think there are fewer piloted crafts because the population of the facility is declining?" Question mark. He said, "No. The common consensus is that they are just being careful. I've heard recovery of living pilots usually doesn't go well for either of us. We suspect that they piloted a lot of initial craft due to early compilations. We also saw more crashes." So yeah, he said he didn't get into detail, but he said it doesn't go well for both of us. But I'm sure, yeah, we know why, what we were getting into. Oh, this is a good one right here for all my ball for everyone that knows about alien ball. This is a good one right here. He said, "Do you know anything about people such as Stephen Greer, Lou Elizondo, or whatever?" Question mark. He said, "No idea. One name sticks out you didn't mention, but the one that you mentioned is Bob Lazar. And if you said that name, you would have likely been taken out back and put down like a dog. Do the math on why." I do think Lazar was a worker at a private reverse engineering facility for sure. He said, "Out of everything you've ever found regarding UFOs in general, what is your personal favorite?" He said, "There was a new engine that was deployed with a very large model that I had never seen before. We usually see 3 to 5 gravity producing engines. This one had 7. Favorite object or to find? Probably the lab, since we never fully understood how it worked before it was destroyed." So he's seen some type of rare engine that could probably go extra speeds and could travel extra fast. That definitely would be a tough find. Um, he said they don't stray far from home base. I'm just gonna go over what he's basically saying at the end. He said, "What do they?" Someone asked, "What do they look like physically?" He said, "Imagine the typical grays you see on TV. I've seen 2 corpses, so maybe they're a different species, but I've never laid eyes on another." So he's claiming the grays that they see on TV. And like I said, TV and the movies are basically kind of they show you the truth. So that's how they do it. Um, IDF shirt that he wore, an Israeli Defense Force shirt. So we know that was stamped. I mean, like I said, they didn't show anything in these, and people are screaming, "Oh, the files got redacted," but you can copy and paste certain parts of it, and it shows you what it said. Oh, they messed up, and doesn't really say too much within the copy and paste. That was just a double deke to get everyone to think like, oh, blah blah blah. They know what they're doing. Don't think this isn't. Don't think they're not playing every card right. That's not how it's going. So, like I said with the let me pull up my Twitter real quick, cuz there is one thing I wanted to talk about. I can't wait till I get on my the next video I do, everyone. I got my PC ready. I had a 3060 graphics card. It just wasn't working, and I took it to Best Buy, and I took it to Geek Squad to get it fixed. I paid like 150, and they're like no matter what, it's 150. Even if like we can't fix it. Like you're guaranteed spending 150. Well, they said they fixed it. I brought it back. It worked for a day. It stopped working. My graphics card stopped working. It was playing blurry stuff. So I just now today, I'm like, screw it. I'm just gonna buy another graphics card. I tried getting a MacBook. The MacBook sucks. Don't get a MacBook, especially an older one. You got to get the new ones. I think this is a 2018. I looked online. This was cheap. It was only like $220. Probably just gonna give this out to a family member or something, someone young. But yeah, so I was good. They didn't even take apart my computer or like clean it or nothing. As I'm taking it apart, I unplugged everything. I'm blowing it out. It was dusty. Started working. So, and if it don't, I know how to take the pieces now and interchange. So that'll be tough. I'll just get a new graphics card if it don't, but it's working 100%. So this whole it's gonna start getting a lot better here for sure. I can't wait to go live either. But one of the files, something I wanted to show that was from the Epstein files was Trump was accused of rape, and let me re-say this so I can put this clip. From the Epstein files, Trump was accused of grape, and later the victim committed suicide and was found with her head blown off. It also mentioned that the police did not believe it was a suicide, and I'll read part of this what it says. And this is crazy. I told you guys he ran a teen modeling agency. He would go back room, certain ones that probably had a weak household or didn't have the right support or family system. The ones that were easy prey, I'm sure got preyed upon. The prey like to be where they can attack at. That's why you see them with church leaders, you see them with teachers, you'll see them more likely within and around kids when they are into that, because the prey like to be where it's at. There's a saying for it, and it would have been tough if I knew the saying. But yeah. So just because you think you're sending your kids somewhere, that's where they're more likely to be at. Regardless of however safe you think it is, if it's a kid environment, they're at risk. Especially if they see single households. So if you're a single mom or you're a single dad, don't get into all the details. Like something was floating. I just smoked. But don't ever get into the details if you are single, or get too close with the parents, because the teachers talk. The guidance counselors talk. The church leaders talk. Keep your life private, especially if you're in a situation where there's just nothing too positive or a lot going on with it to say. Don't you'll get preyed upon. You will. So let's read this. Etc. The blank space asks, I can't read it with all this redacted shit. But there was a limousine driver. He was driving, and he met Donald Trump, and he picked up the president in 1995. He took him to the DFW airport. And this is where it gets interesting. He reported some of the things President Trump was talking about during the ride while he was on his cell phone. And what he was saying, the limousine driver said, was getting him so mad that he even had the nerve to say it in front of him that he was within a couple of seconds from pulling the limousine over on the median and pulling him out of the car and hurting him due to some of the things he was saying. Due to some of the things he was saying as a caller, he chose not to. He noted Trump continuously stated the name Jeffrey while on the phone and made references to abusing some girl. He was unaware who he was talking to, nor who he was referencing. As he talked about his time meeting Donald Trump, the demeanor went stone cold. It's redacted. I gotta just. But basically, it's saying Donald Trump replied with, he raped her along with Jeffrey Epstein. That's what the girl said. It's too redacted, but yeah, basically the girl got her head blown off, and the officers on the scene stated that there was no way that this was a suicide. They blamed it on suicide because she had gotten cocaine from a drug cartel. He said it feels like the murder is a cover for Ghislaine Maxwell. Holy shit balls. Let me make sure my camera's still on. Holy shit balls. That's our sitting president. He heard our sitting president in a car. The limousine driver heard our sitting president in a car basically saying he raped, and all the nasty things he was doing to this girl, just out like he didn't care. Savage. Don't care if the driver hears it. You're not going to say anything because I'll tip you $100. But I knew a chef was talking to me saying that he was working near Mar-a-Lago and Trump used to come in there for breakfast. I guess it was at the hotel he was staying at before he bought his mansion. And he was one of the chefs there, and he would bring his family there. Trump asked for all their food to be cut in small pieces. They did that for 30 days straight, just doing extra stuff for their food. He said Donald Trump walked up to one of his chefs, and Donald Trump said, "Thank you for all the work you've done for my family. Here you go." I asked him what he gave him. He said Donald Trump had a $5 bill in his hand. And I was just like, this cheap mother effer. There's no way you got all this money. You're staying there and getting custom made breakfast every morning. And you want to leave off with a $5 tip. I don't know. Crazy. Now let me get into the fun. Let me get into the fun. This is gonna be a fun one. I'm gonna have to do a lot of editing on this video, bro. And my fucking computer's frozen. Hold on. That's what I'm saying. I'm not gonna have to deal with this no more. It's gonna be so nice. I can't freaking wait. I'm about to set it up tonight. I gotta. It's gonna be set up. I won't have the screens in front of me. It's gonna all be behind the camera. It's gonna be official. Here we go. So we all know Epstein's alive, right? He's been alive. He's never died. And this is what stamps that he is alive. 100%. Epstein's death was first reported on 4chan. 38 minutes before any news outlet could break the story of Jeffrey Epstein dying in a prison cell, a poster on 4chan revealed it. Their identity remains unknown to this day, but police suspect it may have been someone at the hospital in New York, where Epstein was taken, as they declined to comment on the news leak. And I honestly, I do want to tell you guys, I think I know who it is. I don't know. I don't know. I kind of want to say it, but I don't want to. I don't want to. You guys are gonna think I'm crazy, but let's finish this first. Let's finish. And there's proof behind what I was saying. Who it is? Not really. There really isn't that much proof, but there's a lot of connections to it. So he posted. This is what he first said. Don't ask me how I know, but Epstein died an hour ago from hanging, cardiac arrest. Screenshot this. He posted this before it happened. He said ASY stole arrest for 40 minutes. ALS intubated into the field, EPI 2 liters, NS infused, telemetry advised, bicarb and D50 in the field, PT transported to Lower Manhattan ER and worked for 20 minutes and called hospital administrator, was alerted, preparing statements. Not saying anything after this, please do not try to dox me, but last night after 40415 count, they took him medical in a wheelchair, front cuffed, but not one triage nurse says they spoke to him. Next thing we know, a trip van shows up. We do not do releases on the weekends unless a judge orders it. Next thing we know, he's put in a single man cell and hangs himself. Here's the thing. The trip van did not sign in, and we did not record the plate number, and a guy in a green dress military outfit was in the back of the van, according to the lower guy who let him through the gate. You guys, I am shaking right now, but I think they switched him out. And here's the official timeline of the court documents. This is the official timeline of the 4chan post revealed in the court documents of the U.S. versus Ghislaine Maxwell. They literally used this in the report, in her. I don't know why they would use that in her trial, but that was in there, and they shows all the proof of that being before. So that's someone knew something. Yeah, I can't say who that person's connected to. I can't because that person will come after me. If you subscribe and DM me, I'll tell you who the connection is. I can't. You gotta personal message me for that one. I can't. I'll tell you in the DMs though. Just hit me up. But because if it is the person that it's not the person that's crazy. It's the person that it's connected to. It's a son of someone. And that's all I'll say. It's a son of someone. And by me saying that, like, bro, I won't say it out loud, like, because I've heard it. He's a crazy dude. So that's nuts, though. Here's the thing, though, and this is the connection that I was talking about at the beginning of the video. If you've made it this long, this is what's worth it all here. You have not heard this yet on the internet. This is some one-of-one journalism right here. So there was a person. Let me pull this up. This is kind of creepy. So this was a while ago. A person said they saw Jeffrey Epstein in his town in Greece. This is what the post said. He said, I live in Agrilos and work near the docks. During my lunch break, me and my colleagues and my friends who would work nearby sit by the docks. Nothing ever happens here. It is a very small town, but in the last year, we've noticed a few times a fancy boat at the docks. We talk about it and a joke about what it could be doing here. But a month ago, an ordinary day, we saw people near the boat for the first time. It was a black man and two women wearing tuxedos. This piqued our interest because it was very strange. So me and my friend wanted to talk to them. But when we started walking towards that area of the dock, we saw him, Jeffrey Epstein, the man we saw so often on the news. He had a big beard, but he was wearing a coronavirus mask on his chin, and he was walking with a tall man in a vest that people used on safari. Me and my friend recognized him, and we were scared, so we stopped and pretended not to recognize him and left. I've been talking about this a lot with my family and friends over the last month, and after seeing pictures of him, I 100% believed it was him. My uncle enjoys fishing and said he once saw this boat heading toward the island of Stamfani. That's all I know. I don't believe in conspiracy theories, and I don't use any other social media besides Instagram. So I don't know where to tell this story until someone suggested it so I could tell my story. I don't speak English, so I had to Google Translate. Nuts. Absolutely nuts. And I want to show you the connection right here. This is kind of just insane because I'm pretty sure this is from 2023. This is the connection that'll blow your mind right here, guys. Just in today, it is reported that Jeffrey Epstein had a fake Austrian passport under the name Marius Fortellini that claimed he lived in Saudi Arabia. So that passport was good to enter through Greece. So this connects. So that person may have seen Jeffrey Epstein on the top of his boat with a bodyguard, because whoever they seen, regardless, let's just say it wasn't Epstein. That person was with bodyguards and two other people dressed up nicely in a nice boat. But if it is Epstein, that makes sense. And what also adds up is that this new passport that he has with a fake name that he claimed lived in Saudi Arabia would let him get in through Greece. Uh-oh. Uh oh. I know he's alive. And I don't even want to say this, but I'm going to say it. There's people in my DMs that are feeding me information trying to show that Epstein's alive and trying to dissuade me and make me talk about certain things, but I already know what's going on, bro. You can't fool me. You can't fool me. I already know what's going on. And I can't believe the DOJ is posted that video of Epstein hanging himself in his cell. And what caught that whole video and made them take it down and say it was AI is because in the original pictures, the coffee that was spilled on the ground was way bigger than what the video showed. AI is almost there, but it's not yet. And that's what's going to be messed up in 10, 15 years is when we're not going to be able to separate certain type of situations like that. At least we were able to catch it now because it messed up with the coffee on the ground. But if not, it looked like it was pretty accurate, but it was still uncanny valley. You still aren't fooling anyone with that. But that's crazy. They're trying to force now that this suicide, they're starting to see, hold on now. Because if they keep going, and they're going to keep going, and they're going to realize that it's going to get, and like the dude in that 4chan thing talking about how he thinks that body got swapped. And there is a body that they think got swapped, and that's Hillary Clinton's brother. They think Hillary Clinton's brother was the body swap for Epstein. They look just alike. And this world is so crazy, and this world is just so you just don't know. You honestly don't know anymore. You have to take everything. You gotta. I need proof, and if you show me proof, hey, and in the proof it shows that the ear is totally different on Epstein than in the body that's on the bed. The nose is totally shaped different. So no, that's not the body. That's definitely not the body. He got wheeled out of there. He got sent to a New York underground tunnel, headed up to the nearest private airport, took a one-way trip to Tel Aviv, moved all his money over into that trust, all that random money that got moved into there, and now he's under a different name, and he doesn't need anyone. He can have someone go run his errands for him. He can still move through the water. I'm sure that's how they're moving. You know they're moving through the water. I showed you guys that in that Terramar video. You know they're moving through the water. So yeah, I wanted to get into it. I'm gonna do that next video. I'm gonna shoot this literally. I might shoot it this week just for you guys, but I know we're too deep into this right now. We're at an hour 15, but I'm gonna go into the real Hunter Biden leak and show you what's really in the iCloud of Hunter Biden, like the real spill, real spill. I got all the shit. It's crazy. It's gonna freaking blow your mind. I'm not gonna spoil it, but think of the craziest shit, then multiply it by 10. I'm not just talking about smoking drugs with hookers in a hotel. Okay, it had all his messages on his iCloud. Um, the next possible false flag that people are thinking. There's been a lot of searches of Disney bombing, Disney shootings. So I would honestly stay out of those places for a while, especially on New Year's Eve. Be careful on New Year's Eve. Let's not be in a crowded place. Let's not go to a big city. Just stay low for this New Year's for me. Only this New Year's. I don't know. Just play your cards right on this one. Because there are a lot of searches in Tel Aviv and in Israel that are related to events happening in America. Now, is it guaranteed it's going to happen? No, but it's kind of fishy that they're looking it up. What are you looking it up for? Because that's what they do. Weeks ahead, weeks before the event happens, they're Googling, they're searching, they want to see. So we'll see. I seen something talking about how Jared Kushner is trying to get with Jared Kushner and his name. Let me pull his name up for you guys. Kushner and Witkoff draft. How do you say that? Kushner and Witkoff draft 112 billion proposal to develop Gaza into a smart city with luxury resorts. So they're gonna dump all this money. So they wrecked it. They completely knocked it out. Okay. So we're gonna fund it. We're gonna give them the money. Israel is gonna be behind our money. Obviously, they're connected to they own America, so that's their money. So basically, Israel's gonna invest into Gaza and make it this beautiful, smart city, and now that will be the next extension of Israel. And it's just messed up. They completely wiped it out. So yeah, they're trying to build a smart city and dump all this money into it. What do you think? Maybe short term that's good for the citizens, but long term that's not doing nothing. I don't know, man. It's sick because you know Iran's next. And this definitely does just reek of Jared Kushner. You know, this is a playbook out of Kushner's pocket. They said he's the one that convinced Trump to convert. I mean, he converted Trump's daughter, so I don't know. We'll see. That's about it, though. I do want to do that Hunter Biden shit, though. You guys are gonna go crazy for that one. I don't know if you guys made it through. I don't know if reading the Q&A was troll. I don't know if you guys were able to just coast and be able to ride with that in your ear. Maybe. I tried. I tried to skip through some of the troll questions. But I don't think them things are demons, man. You guys are crazy. There's a lot of people in my DMs. You got everything but one thing. Aliens are not demons. I mean, aliens are demons, and I'm just like, bro, I don't know, man. I don't know. Because I've just seen so much reports about these retrieval operations and ex-military guys, seeing them in Afghanistan and seeing them in certain areas of destruction, and the people that go and tell their story to Stephen Greer. I know Stephen Greer is probably in a shadow government shill, but I don't know. Not everyone can be lying. Everyone cannot be lying, and because I've read a lot more than you think. There's a lot of them that have been hidden now too since I've read them. Like, you got to dig for these. And just, I know not all of them are lies. There's got to be some truth to it. Wherever there's smoke, there's fire. I just hope they're not time travelers. I just pray, because that's one thing that'll mess me up if they're time travelers, which is very possible. But I do think there are time travelers that are in some of these crafts, but I don't think that they would be 100% of the crafts. That'd probably be a small percentage. Maybe just trying to visually grab and document certain events when they're in the future to see it happen. Maybe they wanted to see certain religious prophecies play out and see how they actually happened, because that kind of would be able to prove and disprove religion if you're able to pull up when he got crucified, or see if the Jews went and grabbed the Romans and shit. Probably did. But shit's crazy, bro. I don't know. There's so much wild shit in this world. And you think like sci-fi is fake. It's like, I don't think sci-fi is that far off. It really isn't. They're just showing us. There's no original thought. So it's like, for them to think that, that's had to have been like something that has played out before somewhere, right? I don't know. But I appreciate it. Before I sign out, man, I really do, because there are some people that tell me that watch these whole things. I really do appreciate that. If you guys are new, make sure you subscribe. If you're a lurker that watches all the videos, you don't gotta say nothing. Just, we in the background chilling. You in the background chilling. I don't blame you. Stay low key. Fuck it. But drop a like though for me though. I can't see who likes it. The YouTube took that away. So just drop a like for me on the low. But you don't gotta say nothing. I know how it gets. But that's about it, man. Bob can count. Hour 22. Let's do it. I got a lot of editing to do. Christmas is coming up. Hope you guys enjoy that Christmas. If this isn't anywhere near Christmas, whatever holiday's coming up, if your birthday's coming up, celebrate it. You live life once. Fuck it. Take all the risks, because you might come back to some troll shit. That's it. Bob can count. Let's do it, man.